Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.
Where the bloody hell does a week go? Does it not literally feel like 2 seconds ago that I was sat here saying last week's version of, I'll just go in, I'll start it and then I'll start it properly. Okay. What is it I say? I always find this, it's funny, when I do sound checks before a gig, when I've got 90 minutes of stand-up fully, obviously, rehearsed and in my head, and I know exactly what the order I'm saying it in. I know when they say during the sound check, like an hour before, 2 hours before, 3 hours before the gig, what's your opening line? And I'm like, and then someone goes, all right, well, what about this joke? I can't remember. Anyway, so point being, I've messed it up now. Look at that. I've wasted a minute. Okay. It is Wednesday the 14th of May. It seems contrived now. Not that it doesn't always seem contrived, but okay. It's Wednesday the 14th of May, 2025. And it is, of course, time for the proper introduction for Mullinger's Weekly. I know, but I always say the episode, don't I? It is Wednesday the 14th of May, 2025. And it is, of course, time for episode 55. 55! Can you believe that? 55. 55, that used to be a big number, didn't it, when we were young? Someone that was 55 was old. Now 55 is young. And this podcast is young. Okay, so it's Wednesday. I'm actually recording this the day before. I know often I get up very early the morning of a thing. Anyway, it's Tuesday afternoon, basically. A big day today, I guess, in Canadian politics, in that Mark Carney obviously announced his cabinet, including Wayne Long from the St. John at Rosse area with a very big job that was, I can't remember what it was. And then also a big thing in St. John today, tragically there was a shooting and 3 gunmen were on the loose. So that was a lot of people having lots of fun on Facebook with that. Anyway, I will be very shortly doing an Instagram live and a Facebook live with Ali Hassan about our upcoming shows at the St. John Theatre coming next month. Very excited about those. Pretty much, 10 years in the making. As long as I've known Ali, we've been talking about doing shows somewhere. This is a concept that we plan to take on the road. Ali is obviously originally from New Brunswick, from Fredericton. Very proud of that fact. Ali, many of you know, is obviously the host of CBC Canada Reads, often stands in as the host on the Q Show, and is just an all-round amazing person, amazing comedian. So we're doing 4 nights at the BMO St. John Theatre Company. It is Mullinger and Hassan's Comedy Extravaganza. We are doing stand-up, sketches, roasting, new material, Q&A. I can also reveal, actually, hot off the press, that we will be welcoming, we'll be talking a bit about our first gigs and about starting out in stand-up, and we will be at each show welcoming a different up-and-comer to the stage, comedians who have been tearing up the scene across New Brunswick and deserve to be seen by a bigger and wider audience. We have, I can tell you who they are right now. I can tell you who 3 of them are, and the 4th one I will reveal later. But they are Kaiv Lucas, who I have been keen to work with for a long time. He's been doing amazing things, not only on stage, but also behind the scenes, organising Bad Words for a Good Cause shows, giving stage time to other up-and-coming comedians, while at the same time raising much-needed funds for local charities. So, there we go. And the wonderful, my dear friend Caitlin Dean will be with us on the Monday. And Josh Kotsabaskis. See, I got it right. His mum messaged me with a phonetic spelling. I do know to Josh Kotsabaskis. I'm saying it right now. Finally, I've been saying it wrong for a number of years. Josh and I actually we had met many years ago at a collector's fair where the Howard Johnson used to be. That is now a Crown Plaza, if you can believe that. Not many hoes turn into crowns. Not many hoes become princesses. Well, some would dispute that. Not often a hojo turns into a Crown Plaza. So, well done to the Hojo. Oh, the Hojo, we went from the Hojo to Canada's Best Value Inn, which was the weirdest name for a hotel ever. Anyway, we'd met there years ago. Josh was very young. He was there with his dad, Dino, wonderful man. And then we were kind of all reunited many years later at a card fair where we ascertained that we're all still collecting all the same things. Anyway, I'll move on. My point is, it's Ali Hassan and I have... Ali is here actually for a number of things. He's here later this month for the Word Spring Book Festival and New Brunswick Book Awards. He's doing the keynote speech at that. He's also doing a show at the Charlotte Street Arts Centre in Fredericton with two of my favourite comedians, Corey Hartlin and Lynn Woods. So I am off to Toronto this weekend. I guess I don't know yet what's going to happen with the hockey. We won't be going to if the Maple Leafs are playing this weekend, we will be, obviously don't have money to burn, so we'll not be inside the arena, but we'll certainly be registering for that kind of mass rave street party madness that goes on. Looking forward to that, and also going to see a good comedian friend of mine, Catherine Ryan, who is performing in Toronto this Friday. Anyway, I should take you through the last week. I mean, literally, I know it's funny. It is the lowest form of conversation, isn't it? The older, where did a week go? It's right up there with the weather. But did you find yourself just accidentally talking about the weather? I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, right now it's beautiful outside, so you can't not. Yeah, you're standing at the sidelines of the soccer pitch watching your kids, and you see some other parents that you know, and it's like, "How you doing? Good. And you don't want to bore them with the ins and outs, the intricacies of your life. You're not going to go into. There's some people that that overshare. You don't want to be an oversharer. You also don't want to be a complainer. You also don't want to be a bragger when things are going great. You don't want to be going, yeah, absolutely, coining it in, mate. Yeah, getting loads of good. Yeah. You don't want to be that person. You also don't want to be Debbie Downer either. Like, I often question my own sanity, and I often question my place in the world, and quite often when I wake up in the middle of the night, when someone says, how you doing? They don't want that answer. When you bump into someone, how you doing? They don't want to hear you say, well, woke up in the middle of the night last night, and really I was questioning everything. Like, am I even a real comedian? Am I a good parent? Am I a good husband? Like, would the world be better off without? Like, like no one wants to hear that. So, yeah, I'm all right, yeah. And then you inevitably go towards the weather, and I know it seems like it's like, oh, well, it tempted us, didn't it? The evil temptress, the weather, it tempted us. It made us think it was going to be sunny. And that's when, for example, I mentioned this a few weeks ago, I think that my friend Greg Parker took, a newish Brit to the Maritimes, took in his garden furniture. His wife, Alex, warned him against it. And yes, I got her name right that time. Oh, by the way, I'm aware that while I'm sitting here rambling, I'm aware that I get a lot of things wrong, because now and again I will hear either my kids playing the podcast in the background and abusing me, doing kind of offensive impressions of my accent. I should record this. My kids do they think very funny, highly racist impressions of my British accent. What was my point? What was I saying? Kids, accents, voice. What was that? Oh, jeez. I was saying something about. Oh yeah. So so you end up doing the whole the weather. Sorry, point me. I get things wrong. Sorry, I called. I'd been emailing my friend Ashley Parker at Hampton Brewing Company. By the way, we're doing lots more shows there this summer. Those dates to be announced in the next week. They sell out very quickly, so keep an eye on my Facebook. I was emailing my friend Ashley Parker, and then did the podcast. So I accidentally referred to Alex Parker as Ashley Parker. She's still very mad. Hopefully that didn't spoil their anniversary. Thank you, by the way, to Greg and Ashley, Greg and Alex, for coming to see my show. They came came from Fredericton to see my show at St. John High. I know were you bringing some Shiak friends? I would be curious to know what they think of it. Let me know if they hated it. And I had an anniversary gift for you both that night, by the way, which I have stuck in the mail yesterday, so it should be with you. Some what am I saying? Yes, the weather thing. Like, you end up talking about, you go, the weather was tempting us, and then it snowed again, and then I don't know why are we still surprised by it. Anyway, it's gorgeous today. It's absolutely gorgeous. I was having a nice chat with a friend of mine, Rob Bound, back in England, about our Blackpool plans later this month. Earlier, the sun was shining in England, the sun's shining here. Everything's good with the world. Funny how our moods are often dictated by the weather. Anyway, my point is this is the lowest form of conversation, even though I've just wasted the last 5 minutes talking about it, isn't it? When you go, the weather, and then there's some people going, it's too hot for me. I mean, I wonder if we could all just make a pact to not talk about the weather, and also just agree that time does move on. So maybe we should all stop going, oh, where did the week go? Where did the month go? Can you believe I am the worst for this? Actually, my friend Rob I was talking to earlier gets very agitated with me. I think in a loving way, thinks it's absolutely mad how I'm constantly like, can you believe this time a year ago we were doing this? Can you believe this time 5 years ago we were doing this? I'm trying to do that less because I'm trying to spend more time looking forward. Obviously, it's difficult because I'm constantly writing books about my past. I'm constantly digging up these things, which leads me to have these kind of weird dreams. I was writing a chapter for my book last week about when did I tell you this last week? How when I basically flew to Bali, 24-hour flight to Bali, to meet a girl who I'd been dating, and I didn't realize she'd broken up with me until I got to the airport, got there, went to kiss her, and she said, "Oh, we broke up." When you kind of dig into these memories and diaries, it's anyway. I had a really weird dream actually the other week, which I decided I keep meaning to write. It's a great chapter for a book. It was a dream about someone blackmailing. I'm listening to / reading Irvin Welsh's Resolution, which is the third book in the Ray Lennox series. And the combination, I think, of reading Irvin Welsh and watching Billy Bob Thornton's Landman gave me this weird dream about someone blackmailing someone because they had a picture of them shitting. And I mean, yeah, that's what was it? I mean, again, so then I got it in my head. What that could be an interesting plot thread, like someone has a photo of someone defecating, and they try and blackmail them, but then that person gets murdered. I shouldn't give it away. This book is going to be my Agatha Christie moment. Not often that a whodunit gets released where the catalyst for the crime was a picture video of someone defecating. How did we get to this? Okay, I think I should go through your questions because you sent me so many wonderful questions. I will just quickly say, in the last week, I spent more time at the Right Cup Cafe. Met a lovely and talented filmmaker called Juliette Rose, who I met last year at the Southwest Business Summit. By the way, that is coming up, and I'm at the Southwest Business Summit at the Algonquin Resort this month, Tuesday, 27th of May, doing a workshop, actually, about the future of doing business in Canada. I believe it was originally supposed to be in Atlantic Canada, so I've got some work to do. Juliette was the filmmaker tasked with filming and photographing that conference last year. Did a wonderful job. The pictures were great. The footage was great, and she was telling me about the amazing theatre community of Charlotte County that I did not know about. Anyway, so we had a nice coffee. I'm not going to bore you too much. I went to the dentist. My son River got into a AAA soccer team, which is big news, obviously, for a Brit, especially when, again, I didn't follow soccer growing up. But now I'm just super proud, and I'm excited that my summer, it's nice to have those plans. Thursday, was it Thursday? Yeah, I picked up a rental car, drove to Halifax for a wonderful gig actually on Friday night for the beautiful people of CBCL. Many of you will know CBCL is an Atlantic Canadian. Well, actually, they have offices in Ottawa too, but a highly respected engineering firm of 500 people who have not all come together before for one event, and I was given the huge honor of emceeing and doing stand-up and doing the awards at their huge gala dinner on Friday night. So drove up, got to the Marriott waterfront in Halifax Thursday night, spent all of Friday trying to make the stupid printer in the business centre work. Oh, I just got a text message from Ali Hassan. Let me see what this says. IG live at 5. Yes, indeed. So if you're listening to this now, by the way, gang, the Instagram live thing, it was last night because I'm doing it tonight. If you don't understand. Anyway, we're going to be doing another one. No, I just replied to him at the time. Sorry, he's asking. I didn't get sign-in links. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. We're going to basically our whole our whole essentially what we're doing with it by having amazing up and coming comedians at this show is it's like a friendly version of Kill Tony. So it's more like, kill. I guess we're doing it in St. John. Kill Johnny. So what am I saying? Yeah. So River made a Triple A team, which is very exciting. So they drove to CBCL. Just wonderful people working with. Oh, I meant to talk about this. That Amy, my friend Amy, who booked me for this. I did not know that she was in this. So there's an organisation called Act 3 Productions, so I know put on amazing theatrical shows in St. John. There is a show coming up. Amy Winchester works for CBCL. We've actually worked together on a corporate gig once before. It was actually the Wastewater Awards. That's right. And I get this saw this thing online. Basically, an incredible array of very talented St. John performers, including Scott Thomas, Lisa Hanson, Kizzy K, Kendra and Dan Thompson. Many of you know Dan is the owner of Italic Printing, who print Maltomeda along with many much more prestigious things. Ellen Compton and Amy Winchester. They're all doing shows look up Act 3. It's Act I think Productions.ca. Act 3 Productions. They're doing shows at the Kent Theatre. Anyway, Amy was just a joy to work with. John Flewelling, the CEO and president of CBCL. What an incredible sport. Basically told me outright I had to come out and roast him and the company. Gave me carte blanche. It was so much fun. And just one of those gigs where you spend the whole day kind of prepping / somewhat nervous / wondering how it's going to go. Also, massive hats off to Encore Tech Team for just making all my wishes come true. All my usual OCD things of needing, wanting the lights in the room dimmed. Again, Amy and John and the whole team were just amazing at making sure that everything I wanted to happen happened in terms of basically giving me the tools I need to do the job well, which you have no idea how rare that is. Did you? I mean, so Canadian CBCL. The name is Canadian British Consultants Limited. So I mean, like CBCL, I am also, as you know, Canadian British. I did have a lot of fun with the fact that their name is Canadian British Consultants Limited. It has limited twice because CBCL Limited, Canadian British Consultants Limited. Had lots of fun with that. Just a great organisation of great people. Met lots of people I knew, lots of people I didn't know. Met people who had come to shows before, people who had read my book and not seen me before. Just one of those perfect gigs. Had to get up very early to drive back, mainly because my wife had a wonderful Mother's Day event to get to. I shot over to Galbraith Florist to pick up a bouquet from the genius, the floristry genius that is Oksana. At Galbraith Florist, and then I did not watch the UFC because I'm somewhat boycotting it. I tell you what, I wished I could have done on Saturday night was go to the boxing in Hampton, which my friend Dennis Hunt at K100 was. I saw him this morning. Went to do an interview about a show we've been doing together next week, and Dennis had lost his voice from commentating the boxing on Saturday night. Looked like an amazing event. I'm just so happy to see events like this happening. So don't give your money to the Trump supporting Dana White. Go and watch, Fight League Atlantic, or go and watch local boxing. Finally watched the end of what is possibly the worst TV show of all time, Beast Games. Have continued to watch Landman. Sunday, Mother's Day, was filled with hockey games, actually, but actually super fun. We popped into Garden Grove in between, nice donair, glass of wine. And in the evening, some of our best friends came over and we just toasted mums together. Monday finally sent the magazine to print. That has been, it's never easy, of course, getting the issue done, but it is done and gone. And I chatted with my friend Julian again about, they had a meeting yesterday with Andrew and Karen and my sister-in-law Judy about the centre. Basically, next week we're doing the Centre for Youth fundraiser on Thursday night, Thursday 22nd of May. I'm going to get to your questions. 20 minutes in, I don't think we're doing too badly. You tell me, though. Am I talking way too much bollocks? Basically, next Thursday, 5 p.m, family-friendly show, stand-up comedy, St. John Youth Orchestra, Dennis Hunt from K100, some inspirational stories, a delicious food all included in the price. It's going to be, it's at the Training Convention Centre in St. John, and every cent goes to Centre for Youth. There is literally no reason why young people should be homeless. Ending youth homelessness is possible. So, Centre for Youth are making that happen. So let's help them. That's all I can say. And let's have a lot of fun while we're doing it, which is at this show. So basically, look it up. It's all over my website. Centre for Youth fundraiser Thursday night at the Training Convention Centre. I was it last week. I actually went for my first pedicure in years. It was after my wife had basically suggested she wanted to treat me to something after I'd done like 7 nights on the trot doing gigs. Didn't want to kind of, slip straight back into, unhealthy habits, should we say? I.e., didn't want to immediately relax by getting straight back into the source. So she booked us both an appointment at SP Beauty Clinic in Hilliard Place, which I have to say, absolutely gorgeous in there. Like a lot of things in St. John, things in St. John have a great, kind of like the city itself, have a great way of not looking like much from the outside, and then you get inside. I've joked about this before with Bowler Armour, how Bowler Armour used to look like a kind of a, meth dealing den outside, and you go in, it was the most beautiful bowling alley ever. Albert's Drapery is on Waterloo Street. It doesn't look like much from the outside. You go inside, the most beautiful drapery shop anywhere. There's millions of examples of this, just places that don't have curb. Is it curb appeal? Is that what they call it? Anyway, Hilliard Place. I mean, obviously, tons of great businesses in there. Heart and Stroke. Tons of great businesses in there. But point is, you walk in there and it's like you're in a 5-star Los Angeles salon. So we sat there and had pedicures. I will say, shout out to Jessica Oram, who did my pedicure. Absolutely divine. I basically, I never get a chance to rest or relax, basically, ever. So somehow it switched off my ADHD for a bit. I actually even fell asleep, and I said, "No." Oh, by the way, did anyone watch MobLand this week? It's funny how much people seem to be loving it. I feel like I'm watching something else. Like I'm reading online people comparing it to Sopranos or The Wire, and to me, it's got the ingredients of being such a great show, but the writing is terrible. And how it is possible that Helen Mirren and Pierce Brosnan, two of the greatest actors, he is actually of Irish origin, is in the worst and most offensive Irish accent ever. I have to say, the standout star of the show to me is not Tom Hardy. It is the great Geoff Bell. Now, I have loved Geoff Bell for years. Geoff Bell is always popping up in what I love, those low-budget British gangster movies. Now, he is always just a proper sinister turn. You're genuinely scared of him. Like when he's on camera, you think Geoff Bell could kill you. Some of my favorites, I mean, the Foot Soldier movies, obviously, I absolutely love him in. I was hanging out with him in London in March this year when I went. That's right. He's in Top Boy as well. The first season of Top Boy. He's one of the I think one of the greatest ever British actors, and yet totally underrated. He's in Rock and Roller, which I love, which is a Guy Ritchie movie. He's obviously in The Business, Green Street, all the British classics. Was he in Peaky Blinders? He was in Marching Powder with Danny Dyer. Oh, by the way, congratulations, Danny Dyer, on finally winning the BAFTA, which I not bragging, but I predicted in the book I wrote on Danny Dyer. In 2013, I said I predict before the decade is out, Danny Dyer will be honoured with a BAFTA. Last week or at the weekend or whatever it was, a few days ago, Danny Dyer finally won his BAFTA. Anyway, at the premiere of Marching Powder, I was partying with Geoff Bell in the after party in Soho, and he was there with his grandsons, and it was funny, like his grandsons seemingly wanted to go home, and we were just having a right laugh. And I was saying how much I love the Foot Soldier movies. But modest guy that he is, he didn't bring up MobLand. And it's interesting. I feel like this is going to be the show to kind of, send him stratospheric. Like he's obviously been doing Hollywood movies for years. But the fact that he is basically the best thing in MobLand, I think better than Tom Hardy, says it all. We're going to get to your questions any second. That was the other piece of news this week. Loblaws showed record profits for the early part of the year. That was on the news. And because of this whole Canadian Pride thing we're doing now, we're not allowed to be critical of that. I say there's never been a better time to be critical of that, because why are they showing record pockets? Why did they make billions in the first quarter? You know why. Same reason they made record profits during COVID, jacking up the prices of Canadian products to exploit the Canadian goodwill that's resonating through the like what Trump did and is doing is obviously wrong. But I would have to say there is a special place in hell for anyone who is exploiting and robbing Canadians and jacking up the prices of Canadian products just because Canadians want to support Canadian right now so they can make more money. Doesn't, to my mind, doesn't get much more evil than that. I will leave that. What have I got here? A list of it was a funny thing. I was reading. I saw Shane Gillis broke some like attendance venue records for comedy, some arenas, and I saw the comments under it. So Shane Gillis tickets you. He's playing now 20,000 seats. Obviously very good stand-up. Obviously a very talented podcaster. But all the comments underneath Shane Gillis's thing was people were saying, the tickets basically start at $200 and go up from there. And people are saying apparently that they are it's not all new material. It's in some cases a mix of material from his Live in Austin YouTube special and material from the Netflix special with a bit of 10 minutes of new stuff thrown in. And it just, again, people are obviously happy to, as people also commented, they are happy to be in a room with their favorite comedian. They want to they're hanging out with their favorite podcasters. That's what people are doing. It's a bit like what I used to, again, not to be critical, but what I used to think of as the Dane Cook effect, when essentially 20,000 people were wanting to hang out with their friend Dane. But again, it's not my place to say that one comedian is, but anyway, I guess my point is this, is that me as a nobody spends my entire life worrying about, when I go to a town, oh my goodness, has someone seen this clip online? Has someone, obviously when I go back to the same town twice, or the second time or the third time, I'm going back with different stuff. But when I went to Windsor, Nova Scotia a few months ago, I was like, I've never performed there. I feel like I should do what Seinfeld always says and just basically give them the best possible show. What's the best material? Something just fell over behind me. That always happens. What's the best show I can do? Give them, and again, I'm nobody, so it's not like, and it just seems interesting that and I heard the same thing. Mark Normand is doing the same thing, doing material that has appeared on specials. And it's weird that these guys, they come up, but I guess it does go to show how hard it is to come up with new material, which obviously we know. But the fact that these guys are around other comedians all the time, which I am not lucky enough to have that privilege, where you're constantly workshopping. Also, I'm only doing this podcast with just me alone. They're constantly with other comedians doing podcasts. Material is coming up from that. But again, I guess that's where a problem lies also, that a lot of the material they do at these big shows are anecdotes they've told on podcasts. But again, I mean, I feel like, not that I'm looking for a pat on the back, but I feel like I took something of a risk coming out on stage at St. John High in the city I live in, 700, 800 people, half of whom hadn't seen me before, and opening with 35 to 40 minutes of brand new material from the last 3 months. And I want to take those risks, and I'm proud of myself. And the fact that it landed, some of it needs work, but I didn't actually. The gig seemed to go better than I actually thought it went. Now watching the footage back, but I want to take those risks. I want to keep. I like the fact that when people go on my Facebook page and leave reviews, it invariably is along the lines of, if they've seen me 3 or 4 or 5 times, they say, no two shows were the same, and that makes me. But it's so weird. Like, I'm nobody. I'm not even. I mean, you could argue also. I always say I'm at the bottom of the comedy ladder. I'm not really even on the comedy ladder. Shane Gillis is at the top of the people. They talk about him as being one of the top 10 in the world right now, and he is not taking risks. But I am. I don't know. It to me. Oh, I should point out, but big thanks to that lovely. I can't remember her name. One of the amazing techs from Encore, who I saw. She was knocking off right before my show started on Friday night, but she was the tech for Encore at the West End last year for a show I did for DJ Steve Adams. Well, DJ Steve Adams, it was the one who kind of forwarded for it, and he was also performing and singing. It was for the National Credit Conference, 500 people, 9 a.m. after I'd done a show at 9 p.m. the night before in Fredericton, travelled through the night. I thought this show was going to be a tricky one. Everyone was going to be hungover. And DJ Steve Adams set me up like an absolute master. And anyway, it was a lovely tech from there. And so I felt like she was my good luck charm. It's funny that process, just the waiting in the hotel before the gig, just like the all day long, the pacing, going over other keynotes. I guess that's why they invariably go well, because I do all that. But it's weird how I literally do feel hours before the show like I am a complete fraud, and that I just can't. I'm not. That I just feel a broken shell of a human, and then somehow it all comes together, and then afterwards it's just after. Basically, I would say the few hours after the gig in the morning after a gig is like, that's me. That's when my ADHD levels out, when the brain is just settled into this kind of like it is like what I understand to be a heroin feeling, like when, and again I guess by heroin feeling I mean the movie heroin feeling, like a Train Spotting, or John Travolta after he shoots up driving the car in Pulp Fiction, like. And Auntie T, I know you're listening. Do you remember when we watched Pulp Fiction? I mean, that's one of those things. I know I wasn't going to bang on about time and like things going fast, but like it's funny. There's certain moments, like just transcendental moments in one's life, and it's obviously art can have that effect on people where it's just this transformative moment. And seeing Pulp Fiction for the first time, do you remember some of the movies we watched? Like we went to see Four Weddings and a Funeral together, and we were not impressed with it. And I remember just that funny thing. It's like 1994, 93, and we were just like, "What is all the hype about?" And I think it's that weird thing when you kind of go, "Well, we could do better than that." But with Pulp Fiction, when you watch that for the first time, it's the overwhelming thing is wow, I am so happy to live in a world where I got to experience that film. It's just anyway. Where was I going with all this? Yeah, but anyway, it's just weird that pacing in the hotel room. Yeah, and I really like hours before a big keynote, or I mean, generally I'm not so much like this with I kind of am actually, like even with the club shows, even if I'm doing a club and I've done say Thursday night. Stormed it. Friday night, 2 shows, stormed it. Saturday afternoon, the voices in my head still somehow find a way to convince me that it's not going to go well that night, and that I haven't got what it takes, and I can watch back the footage the night before and I'd be like, oh well, I'm not going to be able to recreate that, but then you do somehow. With that in mind, by the way, I am fully intending to, next year's tour show is going to be the unplanned, unscripted, off the cuff series of shows like what I did at the St. Days Coming at the start of this year. That was the other thing in the news last week. Did you see that there's a shortage of sperm donations? So the sperm banks are now offering like extra money for semen donations. I know. I mean, literally, the money that I've let slip through my fingers over the years. Sorry, couldn't resist. Okay, we're going into your questions. The final I'll say is, this. I did a video a few weeks ago. Some of you might have seen it. It's on the Facebooks. Where funny enough, sorry to go full circle and bring it back to this, where I'm talking about the weather. This goes to show how much stupidly obsessed Canadians are with the weather. Did a video basically saying something which you've all said a million times, namely that, why is it that everyone says this, Canada's the only place in the world where you need, snow boots, an umbrella, suntan lotion, bug spray, leaf raking, all in one day. And I did a little video of that actually in the parking lot of the St. It's funny how I don't strategize my social content at all. A lot of people are very meticulously, ruthlessly strategic about what they post. I basically don't do anything, and then I have a fun. I don't get to a town and go, I've got to do a video. I just, if something funny happens, I just do it. So like when I was in the Grand Manan ferry boat, I was like, well, that weather out there, Matt Keenan pointed out how bad the weather was. So I thought, I'll go out and try and film something, and then just how. But similarly, anyway, point being, this weather video, it just hit 500,000 views today, which is mad. And also what's interesting is that Meta now sends you not much, but a bit of money for all of my hatred, well, that I do stand by, of Meta, I am getting some money back from them for these views. So I see, given they obviously donate money to, which is why I refuse to advertise on Meta and never will. I will never give them my money. I will accept their money based on the fact that's money they can't then give to the orange rapist. Okay. Question number 1 is from my friends John and Angela at Crab Mountain Inn. Tourism is always a fun topic. We've had so many interesting travellers and guests at our inn. I bet you have, John and Angela, and I would like you to send me some stories. Who's the? I mean, that must be such an interesting, like, business industry to be in. Run an inn in the middle of nowhere, which up at Haynesville, which is, it's not the middle of nowhere, but I mean that as a compliment. Like, it's the most beautiful place. There are obviously people coming who are going to visit Crab Mountain. There are people coming who are going to go ATVing. There are people coming because Crab Mountain Inn also puts on phenomenal music and, dare I say, comedy shows. They also make amazing donairs, amazing breakfast, and they're just amazing hosts. Also, they have a gorgeous beer on draft that is the Tongue and Groove. That is every bit as sexual as it sounds. But tourism is a great topic, and I'm going to be, I think I mentioned this, the next issue of the Mailto magazine is our first ever travel special. So please all keep your eyes out for the places that we are covering in that, because let's face it, this summer is going to be bloody great for tourism. Because unlike certain businesses, Loblaw, Sobeys, jacking up prices at a time like this, the great thing is that everyone is looking to spend their money in. Also, crucially, our beautiful friends across the border are all, our American friends are often or are now all looking to come to Canada. So, to all of my wonderful American listeners, and I'm sure there is more than Lady Catherine, by the way, thank you for your lovely message. And I'm happy to hear that the pickleball is going well. I'm happy the weather's good. Stay safe. And thank you for your lovely note. But American listeners, again, I do sincerely hope that those shows that were supposed to happen in Maine will happen at some point. If not, like I say, you're very welcome here. And Americans looking for top tips of where to go and visit in New Brunswick, or indeed anywhere in Atlantic Canada this summer, drop me a line. One place you could think about visiting is a beautiful place called Campbellton, where there is a new comedy festival starting this September called Awesome Festival Campbellton. And they have actually sent me a question for this podcast. What do you think about the new comedy festivals popping up in northern New Brunswick? I think it's absolutely wonderful, and the lineups are incredible. Nathan McIntosh, who many of you will know, is originally I believe from Miramichi. Is that right, Nathan? But basically grew up in Halifax, now lives in New York. I actually went to see him at the, what's that one that everyone goes to? The Comedy Cellar. Actually, in January when I was in New York, Dave Attell was on, Andrew Schultz, and again, not to be not comparing, Sam, who else? Sam Morrell was on as well. Nathan McIntosh had the best set. He again, maritime boy, done Fallon, done The Tonight Show, done all of them. So I'm excited about it, and I'm very excited about the upcoming announcements for Awesome Festival Campbellton that involve other comedians. I think you get what I'm getting at. It hasn't been announced yet, but I'm not allowed to talk about it till the official announcement. But there'll be more comedians, and there are people who some of you may like. I assume you like this person if you're listening to this podcast. Okay, the next question. Corium Medical Dermatology. You could talk to us about the new AI-assisted 3D mole mapping service for skin cancer screening. first one in Canada, right here in the Maritimes. I could and I should talk to you about that, but I am not informed enough to talk about it right now. But anyone from Corium Medical Dermatology who is listening to this, which I assume you are, since you sent me this message, tell me all about your new AI-assisted 3D mold mapping service for skin cancer screening, first one in Canada, right here in the Maritimes. I would love to know more. My dear friend Tim Andrews from Oxford. Tim, did I tell you that I'm going to Blackpool in a couple of weeks? And then on to London. And I need to message my other friends in London. I'm meeting a couple of schoolmates in Blackpool, but I'm hoping to see my other... And again, Auntie T, I'm not sure if you can get to London or Blackpool, but I will be in touch. There has to be a way to get together, and if not, let's have a face. Auntie T, so I'm speaking directly to my aunt here, who was my literally, her and my grandma were like my best friends growing up, and basically could not have been more there for me, to the extent that I think without my Auntie T and my grandma, I don't know if I would be here. Is truth. So anyway, Tim Andrews from Oxford now lives in Nova Scotia. Do you wish you didn't have ADHD, or embrace the creativity as it gives you as a happy side effect? What a wonderful question, Tim. And I guess that is the question I'm trying to answer in my new book. I have to be honest and say that having ADHD, I think my friend Claire Scafano once kind of described the fact that essentially, not that I have achieved much success, but any success I have achieved, which I guess is that somehow, against all odds, I'm a professional comedian. I have a beautiful house and live an amazing life through telling jokes. That's unbelievable to me. It's completely also, the odds are stacked against that. Again, I'm sure anyone, listening who doesn't know what I do would go, yeah, no shit, you're telling us, blah, blah, blah. All those comments people make online. Can't believe anyone goes to see this idiot. Well, they do, and why'd you waste time commenting? What's my point? Yes, any success that I have achieved, I think is 100% down to the ADHD. Or would I be even more focused without it? I have to say, I would kill for the voices and the 10 million thoughts rampaging through my head at all times. I would kill for them to go. And I know I've tried the meds, and I know that does it, but then it's kind of a stimulant, and you're kind of, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right taking what is basically speed to overcome a thing, when, and again, not that this is the answer, but I mean, just being completely honest, a glass of wine does the trick. Not that you do that every day, and not that you do that, but that definitely does relax. And there's other times. Well, I guess I mentioned earlier about the gigs. It's why I do as much stand-up as I do, is after a gig, my brain does just kind of go, I'm basically a normal human being after coming off stage, like 500 people, standing ovation, walk off stage. I've got 24 hours of kind of peace in my head. Same effect with a glass of wine or a glass of champagne or a pint. And what else? Completing a chapter for a book, or doing a good deed. Or someone, nice things happening. I guess the worst thing, well, again, it's funny how also alcohol can also be the worst thing for this, because, of course, if you overconsume alcohol, that is terrible for the kind of, voices and stress in your heads, which is why, people have to be very careful when you've got any type of neurodiversity and you use things, use anything as a way to cope. It really should never use the things to. So really, stand-up is my coping mechanism, and then also obviously just being with my kids now. I've managed to kind of shut the voices off when I'm doing something quality with my kids, like playing soccer or kicking the ball in the garden, going for a swim. Swimming is the other one. Swimming in the YMCA. I mean, granted, the voices do still go quite. They are all there, and the 10 billion different thoughts are there, but I'm able to kind of process them a bit. Okay, Heidi Davis, God bless you, Heidi. Who is my favorite Golden Girl and why? That is an excellent question. I would have to say Quentin Tarantino. Now, some of you will know, there's people listening that Josh Kotzabas. Oh fuck! I got it wrong now. Josh Kotzabaskis would know exactly what I mean. I'm assuming. I think Caitlin. Oh, Caitlin. What was the thing that you? Oh yeah, Mike. Oh my god. Yes. Anyway, we'll get to this in a sec. Quentin Tarantino, many of you may know, appeared in. He wasn't. Well, I can say this. Quentin Tarantino is one of the greatest directors of all time, but he's not a great actor. But one of his few acting appearances, and I remember because I was obsessed with Quentin Tarantino in the 90s, as my aunt, Auntie Teresa will remember. I had everything, the episode of VR that he directed. I still have that on VHS. He was in an episode of Golden Girls, I believe called Sophia's Wedding Part 1. It was in the 4th season, and he played an Elvis impersonator. I don't think he got the part from acting. He got the part because he looked the part. Like he just, they saw a picture. He got paid a few $100s for the episode, but then residuals kept coming. And so basically, with the $3,000 he got sent for it, he made Reservoir Dogs. So thanks to the Golden Girls, Reservoir Dogs got made. Okay, so which is my favorite Golden Girl? It is impossible to pick. Obviously, everyone loves Blanche. B. Arthur, I feel like, should be everyone's favorite based on her response to Jeff Ross's comment at the roast of who was it? It was one of these naughty. It wasn't the 90s. It was the Naughties roasts, and I think it was Sandra Bernard had been up, and Jeff Ross came up and said something like, "Sandra, I wouldn't f you with B. Arthur's dick," and she shot him the best look. And apparently, like a year later, they met at, I think, some event where she was being honoured or award thing, kind of like the award thing that was in Hacks last week. Hacks is getting on my nerves a bit as a show. It used to feel somewhat realistic. I hate shows now where they've just this formula of like, oh, these two people that clearly should be working together, or maybe they shouldn't. But like how it's just so contrived. Like we're going to contrive a reason for them to fight all season. Then we're going to contrive a reason to bring them back at the end of the season. And the second the new season starts, they're going to be fighting each other again. Why can't there be other outside influences that they're working against? Why does it have to be with each other? Anyway, point being, everyone loves Betty White, obviously. I mean, Betty White just feels like everyone's favorite grandma. Of course, what's crazy is, and obviously Estelle Getty, who I love too. So, I mean, obviously, as always, Mullinger never wants to be controversial, all four of them. But Quentin Tarantino is my favorite Golden Girl. But really, it's probably B. Arthur. Was it Estelle Getty that was the one that was the one that was Sophia Petrillo? Is she the one that slept around? I have to be honest that when I was young and watching it, I quite liked the idea of, I've mentioned this before, a older woman. They weren't even old, but younger than I am now when they first started filming it. But the idea of like a 40-year-old woman that wanted to sleep with younger men, for obvious reasons, I used to love that. My favorite, I think, was Susan Sarandon in Bull Durham. And without wanting to be crass, that it was watching Susan Sarandon in Bull Durham that led me to have my very first, how do I put this politely, solo encounter. And again, I don't want to be crass, but you do really never forget your first one of those, do you? Like it's like the full-on knee tremble, entire body convulsing. You think you're having a heart attack at first, and until you realize how good you feel. I think I must have been 13 or 14, and you just go, oh, it's so weird. It's my son's age. And you just go, oh my goodness, I want to be doing this all day, every day. And then you are doing that. Okay, I'll move on. Roads to Sea Tours have asked Fiddleheads. It's Fiddlehead season, the ostrich fern. I know what Fiddlehead is. I'm in New Brunswick. There's got to be a podcast in there somewhere. Well, there is. The best thing I say about fiddleheads is obviously I eat them, even though I don't love them. But it's kind of like in Britain, you've got to eat a sprout at Christmas, and fiddlehead season, I've got to eat a fiddlehead. Echo Eshen, who used to run N Sushi, Uptown St. John, which was one of the best sushi restaurants ever, used to have a East meets East. Did he call it East meets East or something? It was quite anyway. It really is. It was fiddlehead sushi. It was absolutely phenomenal. My dear friend Charlotte Llewellyn, thank you for all the videos, by the way. You sent me a view on Grandma Nan. Appreciate it. Charlotte Llewellyn, you were watching Grease 2. What made you fall in love with the Grease movies? Well, excellent question, Charlotte. So some of you may know this. I posted early this week how Grease 2 has been added to Disney Plus. I believe Grease 2 to be the greatest film of all time. Or rather, what I mean is, no, it's not the greatest. The greatest film of all time is Pulp Fiction or Goodfellas. My favorite film of all time is Grease 2, mainly for the songs. I love the songs. You gotta go back to school again. But the best song ever of all time ever is Let's Bowl, Let's rock and roll. Hey, come on, let's get the show on the road. Let's bowl, let's rock and roll. Hey, Johnny, go for that strike, and I might just be your baby tonight. Let's bowl, let's rock and roll. Hey, come on, let's get the show on the road. You get the gist. Score Tonight is the song. Reproduction, also amazing song with Tab Hunters in it. Mr. Nogarelli, played by Adrian Zmed from TJ Hooker, I always thought was the coolest man alive. I own, and go on my Facebook if you want to see a video of the evidence of this, I own about a dozen Grease 2 VHSs. I have the soundtrack on vinyl, I've got the soundtrack on CD, I've got the novelization paperback book, I've got lots of memorabilia about my friend Gavin Bond sent me a Grease 2 press brochure that he found. I once had the pleasure of telling Michelle Pfeiffer how much I love Grease 2, and she looked at me as if to say, like, I knew you were going to say that. But what I loved, unsurprisingly, is that as a child that just was a bit of a loner, the idea of being an English boy being sent to a North American school to meet a North American girl, basically my dream came true, obviously in real life. But Maxwell Caulfield arriving at Rydell High and being greeted by Frenchie and then falling in love with Michelle Pfeiffer, that was basically my ultimate fantasy. And then when I met my wife, it happened, and she's my cool rider. That's what it is. Rick Agate is asking, where will you be at 12:30 on Saturday? If you know, you know. Where will I be at 12:30 on Saturday? This Saturday. COYP. Does anyone know what that means? I don't know what that means. Can anyone tell me what that means? Okay. Rebecca Davis. Whoa, here's a controversial one. Could get me in a lot of trouble. But I'm going to... I am going to... be honest. Well, how do I feel about the monarchy? Likes and dislikes. Well, and I don't want to upset any of my. So let's just agree. I'll say to all lovely listeners who love the monarchy, and those who dislike it, because I'm about to say a couple of things. Let's agree to disagree, and let's say that however anyone else feels, I fully respect their views. The monarchy can be a great thing for England. Obviously, there's the history. There's a lot of it, very problematic history. Obviously, I was a huge fan of Princess Diana, so I was very upset and disappointed with the way they treated her. Obviously, the fact that the deplorable way that both King Charles and the rest of the family treated Princess Diana. And again, I know people have affairs and relationships break up. The way Diana was treated by Charles and Camilla was obviously deplorable, but most notably, it was what hit home was today watching Mark Carney's cabinet all be sworn in, and all of them pledging allegiance to the king. Now, England benefits greatly from the monarchy because they get millions and billions of dollars of tourism money, people going to England, spending money in bars, restaurants, hotels, to see Buckingham Palace, blah, 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 blah. Canada doesn't get that benefit, but does spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year to the monarchy for security, for the few days they pop over and give you a wave. But my main problem really does lie with the Prince Andrew issue and the fact that he hasn't been struck off, he hasn't been disowned, and yet when all of our elected officials and posted officials today pledged allegiance to the king and his heirs and his whatever it was, basically all of our politicians today pledged allegiance to Prince Andrew, a man who is, whether you want to say he's a sex trafficker, a rapist, and a paedophile, we can't say that, I guess, for certain, but we can say that the Queen did cut a check for $12 million for his accuser, who incidentally committed suicide a few weeks ago. So those people who said it was all about the money for her, clearly it was not about the money. I don't think anyone has been more appallingly treated in recent public memory than that poor girl. And so how do I feel about the monarchy? There's no getting around. I mean, and this is not, none of this is conspiracy, obviously. This is all just simple fact. The Queen had to approve that payment, and that payment of $12 million was made to her. And there is evidence that she was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. Whether there is full-on evidence that Prince Andrew was involved, it's not. Sorry, I realise none of this is exactly comedy gold, but I don't know if people realise this. So basically, all of Mark Carney's new cabinet today pledged allegiance to Prince Andrew. So where you stand on that and how you feel about that, I guess, is up to you. Personally, I think it's, let's say, at the very least, highly problematic. Cowland Thorne, if you could travel anywhere in the world, what would be the destination and why? What an excellent question. I have to say, the one place my mum and I always talked about going, and my mum can't really travel now, but we always talked about going to Pompeii, and because I was obsessed with Pompeii when I studied classics, and I think it'd be really a beautiful thing to go there with my mum. So if I could ever find a way to go to Pompeii with my mum. Brandon Hicks, you went to, if you're listening, Brandon, did you go to Pompeii recently? What was it like? Tell me. I was obsessed with Mount Vesuvius, and so it would probably be Pompeii. And I also, I mean, I have not been to Vegas, but I would quite like the first time I go to Vegas to be to work there, to play a club there. Benjamin Bowe, he is highlighting something quite wonderful. There's a beautiful picture here, so everyone should check this out. A local St. John performance artist by the name of Benny Bubbles and the Big Bubble Energy Show. DM, or direct message, I guess that is, at benny.bubbles, BUBBLZ. Google Benny Bubbles, Benny, BUBBLZ, and you'll be very impressed, I think. And question here about Sean Simpson is asking about disc golf. Disc golf, what is that? So it's a flying disc sport in which players throw a disc at a target using similar rules to golf. I've never played disc golf. Is it, tell me, is it as fun, Sean, as crazy golf? I know you call that mini golf here, but in England it's called crazy golf because it really should be crazy. It should be, you should be hitting a golf ball up a dinosaur's asshole and it flying out his mouth. That's proper golf. Is that it for the questions? I believe there is one more question. Yeah, well, like I say, let me know your thoughts on MobLand if you're watching it, and again, let me know if you agree about Geoff Bell. It's just so interesting, like literally, like partying with him, and he's just like the nicest guy and the most humble guy. And then the fact he'd literally just recently finished work on this show that was just off the charts, massive, is unbelievable. Okay, Patricia Vauteur, my dear friend Trish. Who is Heidi's bestie, and I love the two of them very much. But here's a question. Do you dream about your work and come up with material? Do you ever laugh in your sleep, or is that considered overtime? It's a good question, Patricia. There's a great episode of Seinfeld where Seinfeld wakes up in the middle of the night. As soon as I realize I mumble on this, it should be called Mullinger's Weekly Mumble. I need to start speaking a lot clearer. Tell me, message me, please, friends. Do you miss a lot of what I'm saying because I'm mumbling? And should I be actually sat here speaking a lot clearer? And would it help if, obviously, like all the professional podcasters, like the Theo Vons and the Shane Gillises, if I actually put my headphones in? Anyway, There's a great episode where Seinfeld wakes up in the middle of the night, has an amazing comedy, like joke idea, and then writes it down. He's laughing as he goes back to sleep and then wakes up and can't read it. That has happened to me, where you're like, that is going to rip the roof off. That is comedy gold. That's an opener. That's a closer. That's a career maker. And then you cannot read it or remember it. I dream at work all the time. Last night I was having an anxiety dream. This morning I had the pleasure of going to K100 to do an interview with the great Dennis King about the show next Thursday, Centre for Youth. And all night I'm having nightmares that I've got the time wrong, I'm going to be late. I then dreamt that I was at my childhood house and I'm trying to get shaved and ready, and my mum's in the bathroom, and then my friend Rob was there, and we were hungover, so I couldn't. It was all these nightmares, all these things rolled into one. And meanwhile, it's just me driving into Uptown St. John to do a fun interview with a great radio DJ. So anyway, I dream about my work all the time. Often have major anxiety dreams about upcoming gigs. If it's a room I'm not familiar with, or if it's something that I'm worried about, but I do. There's never a time I'm not thinking about material. That is true. If I laugh in my sleep, it's possible. Invite Heidi over to your yard sale early so we get first dibs on all the good shit. Fair. The date for the yard sale, I will do. The date for the yard sale has actually shifted, my friends, to Saturday the 21st of June. That is going to be my yard sale. Glenn says, thanks for noticing his chivalrous attempt at keeping me, Heidi, and Kat dry, even though I told him to effing do it. Thank you. Well, I mean, I was very impressed. I came out of the St. John High show, and the first thing I see is Glenn, who, by the way, Glenn is just the best. And Glenn is you know, they're such a gorgeous couple. And what I love about Glenn is he's like a gentle giant. I can tell that if he needed to protect Trish's honor, he could, probably kill a man with one hand, one finger even. But he gives the best hugs, but I think he would also give the best kind of whatever that move is called, where you hug someone and then crush them to death. I think he could do both. And really, there's nothing better in life than someone that you can count on for love and affection, but you can also count on that if you need someone oft, they can do it for you. Love you always, James. Thank you, Trish. Love you too. That was all the questions, I believe. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope that wasn't too boring. Do I always say that? I think so. Lots of love. I'll be in Toronto this weekend. Let me know if you want me to bring anything back from the Big Smoke for you. This Saturday at Cineplex, Salome, live from the Met. This Saturday at TD Station, Harbour Station in St. John, Cypress Hill and The Far Side are performing. This Sunday is the encore performance of Andre Rieu's 75th birthday concert show compilation party on a boat that was so much fun. And if I was here, I would go and see it again. Next Thursday night, Centre for Youth fundraiser. Please do book tickets, and please spread the word about Ali Hassan coming to town for 4 shows with me at St. John Theatre Company, alongside some of the hottest up-and-coming talent. Please email me, jamesmullinger@gmail.com. I greatly appreciate you listening. Thank you all very much. Love you very much. And see you on the other side. Next time I see you, I'll be back. See you here. I'll be back from Toronto. And that's it. Love yous. Have a bloody great week, and thanks for listening. It's literally this is one of the funnest parts of my week. So God bless you, my friends.
Mullinger's Weekly Ramble.